What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another daily news show. The day before we play Verona at home in Serie A after an important win at Milan, and now we just need to build on that. But I'm gonna talk about that game in my preview that will drop tomorrow. In this video, we are gonna talk about a new Juve, or like the links suggest a new Juve. Let's forget the Bernardeschi and Douglas Costa link for a few minutes, and let's talk about what potentially could be real targets for Juve, probably in the summer, more so than right now in January. But still, significant players, good players, interesting players, and maybe finally the direction we should be going in. Also, looking at leagues we usually shouldn't or not usually don't look at, and look at players that are not obvious, and spend the big cash on them or whatever, and spending all summer about I want him, and you probably know we're not gonna get him because of the money and the competition and all those things. But before we get into it, like, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification if you're new, and let's get into it. Okay, so the first player we're going to talk about is Arthur Vermeeren. Why? Because out of the three names I'm going to discuss, he is the player I've seen on a weekly basis for the last year, basically, because he plays in the Belgium league. He got dropped into the team a year ago, maybe a little bit more than a year ago, just not randomly, but like just out of nowhere, I would say. And he never looked back. He's playing at a very high level. Yes, it's a Belgium league, you might say, but whatever. Courtois came from the Belgian league. De Bruyne, Lukaku, just name it. A lot of players come from the Belgium league, and we shouldn't be like, oh, he comes from the Belgium league, or he comes from the Ukrainian league, or he comes from just name it, the Dutch league. Like, they're still footballers with quality, and if you want to move into a certain direction, these are the players we should be looking at instead. Maybe a Thuram. Not saying I don't want Thuram, but you know what I mean. Like, you could potentially get that type of player in terms of prospect, but for half the money as well. So Arthur Vermeeren, he is 20. No, that's a lie. He's 18. I was gonna say 28. He's 18. And for me personally, I think he's more of a defensive midfielder. He can play a bit higher, but like he is more of one of those type of players, and he does that at a very good level. Because he's technical, very, should I say gifted, very competent. He is, because he can get out of trouble with quality, with technique, with skills, not just a fluke or whatever you want to call it. Like, actually good. When you look at him, how he plays and how easy he makes things look on the ball, it's interesting, because we don't really have that now. I don't think Locatelli has, like, if you watch him play, if you watch Locatelli, Rabiot play, and him play as well, obviously experience-wise it's different, but like on the ball, getting out of trouble and make it look kind of elegant, he's very good at it. He is, and I won't say he's a bargain, because Antwerp is not going to let him go for peanuts. They know what they have. They probably won't let him go at all in the summer. They'll try to keep hold of him, and try to cash in furthermore. I still think it's too early to make that jump. I still think you need a year after this, but that doesn't mean you can sign him and just leave him at Antwerp. Like, that's also cool. That's also fine. You can do these type of things. Chelsea did it with De Bruyne, and they let him. Like, you can sign a player very young in this league, and you just let him play for one more year, and he will develop. And it's calm. It's good, and you are very early on getting a player potentially ahead of the curve. Like the curve, I think you should be pouncing on him now if you want him, because I think next season the curve is too high for us to reach. But it could be an option. I think it would be a very interesting option. I think last summer, or this summer then, basically past summer, I was talking about we for once, should be looking into these leagues, the Belgium league, the Dutch league, but not the obvious one. You shouldn't be signed like you should sign the league back then, but like not the obvious names. Like it's okay to do that, and I think that's why we brought Junteli in. But that's the first one is Vermeeren. He's the guy I've watched the most, and the next one is Joao Neves from Benfica. I'm not gonna lie, I've not seen a lot of him. I've not seen a lot of him. So it would be very unfair to say he's not good enough or he's not better than Vermeer or whatever as a prospect, because I've not seen remotely enough compared to what I've seen from Vermeer to make that claim. I just read up, on Neves, and then going off the small sample sizes I have watching him. For me, and from what I've read, he's versatile. In that midfield, defensive midfielder, potentially just attacking midfielder, can play on the right and left if needed. So it seems like he could be a versatile player, but he's one of those. If you get him, you don't get Vermeer. If you get Vermeer, you don't get him. He's same age almost, like 19, 20, maybe a year and a half older, something like that, or 2 years. I think a year and a half, something. But the difference is when you can probably sign Vermeer for like 80, 20 million. If you want to sign him into Benfica, you're going to pay 30 plus, 38.5, whatever. That's what's going to happen. Also, Benfica, they don't want to let him go at all because they know, what? How they operate. We'll keep him one more year and then we'll cash in 80 million if he develops in the player we all think or they think he will develop, But you get the mold and the feeling we're looking at, It's that position, it's that profile, age-wise, playing style, whatever. I still believe, and again, unfair because I've seen him play more. Vermeer is a bit more techy than him. But from what I've read, the ceiling of Neves is extremely high. It's extremely high. He's young. He fits the idea probably the club wants to go into. Signing these players somehow, some way, 5 years, 3 years into their time at the club, they're like, what? We want to leave. You're like, fine, you can leave, but we're gonna cash in big time, and the money coming in compared to what we spend is wow. Okay, now we can turn around and be a sustainable club. I think that's the feeling I'm getting. They say that with a lot of words. So that's the direction we're going in. But also now you need to make it happen. You need to make it happen, and these names are kind of moving into that direction. Same goes for Sudakov. Excuse me. I've seen close to nothing from Sudakov. I'm not gonna lie. So again, from what I've read, more of an attacking midfielder. Can play on the left as well. Also young, same as Neves. Maybe a year older. Fits the mold. Probably the cheapest out of all the options, or about the same as Vermeer. Hard to say. He's a bit different because for me, from what I've seen, and from what I've read, he's more of an attacking midfielder. He's more of a player that gets closer to the box, and actually Vermeer does as well, but he shouldn't. But he's one of those that naturally will get closer to the box than compared to the other ones. Also interesting profile. Again, if we were linked with Kvaratskhelia, Jesus Christ, I would have said who? I just need to go on what I've read. Before he joined Napoli. If I was a Napoli supporter, I would be like, who? In terms of, I've not watched him, so yeah, let's see how it works out. Same, I would have the same reaction with Sudakov. Let's see how it will work out. But the big picture is we're looking at the right players, or like the right profile of players. If they're going to turn out to be the right players, if we sign any of these, only time will tell. But I think this is the direction we should be going in. I think this is the direction we all have been hoping for, that along with some experienced players, to build a sustainable future for this club and actually start winning again and start building a project where you create something with a good crop of players they can bet in, and you can have 3, 4, 5 years of good performances, and then you see how things go. Excuse me, but it's significant that we're being mentioned with these names. It's positive, is hopeful. Again, I said at the beginning of the video, forget about Douglas Costa and Benedeschi for now. But this is positive. Now, let me know in the comments who you think. Again, honest, I've seen Vermeeren play every week. The other ones, no. So maybe you guys have seen more of them. Let me know and convince me. Do you think this is the right direction? Should we be signing these players? Let me know in the comments. Like the video, subscribe. I will be back live Wednesday. But there will be videos out in the meantime. Thanks for watching. See you.